guys, Steve here from Blossom Racing, bringing another video to you today. Today we're going to talk about removing a clutch off of an engine. And the reason why we're going to talk about that is because once in a while you'll get a clutch that is really stubborn and just will not come off of your post. Maybe the engine blew up. Or it's just being a real stubborn clutch and it just will not pull off. So there's several ways to actually remove it from the engine, and in this video we'll show you a few of the ways to do it. So let's dive right into it. Here we have a motor and we have a clutch, and this clutch is stuck on this motor. So this is a puller clutch. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to remove the barrel lock. I already had it loosened, So take your barrel lock out. And then you're going to want to remove the cover and the movable sheave. So on these puller clutches, we got two little push-off holes on the front. Just screw them in. Sometimes this will just pop off by hand. Sometimes you got to use these. Just like that, kind of work them. And comes right off. All right. So there's the cover and everything off. Just set that aside. Then just slide off the movable piece. And all you're left with is the primary post and the fixed sheave on there. And as you see, I'm pulling on it pretty hard and it won't come. One way I've seen people is with a pry bar. They'll come in behind here and try and pry it. Problem is you scratch up, your side cover. You'll scratch up the back of your post. But, it does work once in a while, not very often. Another way is to get a piece of threaded rod. And what you do is you just screw that threaded rod into the end of the crank right here, and you put a tip on it. That's very important. You got to put a tip, a real sharp tip on the end of that so it hits the center of the crank, and then you just take your nuts out here and screw it in, and it'll push it off. Some people use wedges. They'll pound the wedges in there, and sometimes it'll pop off that way. Let me go see if I have a threaded rod. I know I have one out in the trailer, but I thought I had one back here, and I probably should have grabbed it before I started this, but I didn't. So, yep, and I can't find it. So, but it's just basically, 8-inch piece of threaded rod with with two nuts on one end, and it's a 5/8 18 threaded rod with two nuts. And like I said, you grind the tip to a point, so when it gets in there, you just shove it in and just keep screwing it in, and it will push against the crank and push this off. That's another way. The problem with that is the key in there will sometimes get in the way of your threaded rod, and it will jam up in there. So we had that problem when we did it that way. So the best way we found is you just find yourself a handy dandy threaded rod with a 5/8 18 thread on the end of it, and just take your motor and screw the thing in. And you want to get down in there, a few threads, because you don't want to rip any of the threads out. So, and it's always nice if you have somebody here with you, have them hold the motor. bolt the motor down, you know, so it's just not moving on you. But once you get it in there, just take the slide hammer, start hammering it, and as you can see, it's starting to come off. And boom, just like that. This is a splined crank, which that normally doesn't happen with a spline. So that just means I got to come in here. This is kind of beat up a little bit on the inside, so I just got to clean this up, and I'll get it so it slides on and off here really nice. But normally, you know, the problem that you have with these is with the keyed one. The keyed cranks tend to do that a lot more than what a spline does. Worst case scenario, your clutch absolutely will not come off. We have actually taken before, and the crank was junk because the motor blew up really bad, is we come down in between here and actually cut the crank right off, and that's the only way we could get it off. We've come in here with cut-off wheels, and you split this, split the bottom, and then once you split it, it kind of relieves it, and then it pulls off. Those are like worst case scenarios where your crank is absolutely junk and there's nothing else you can do. But a slide hammer, you know, works really good to get them off. Good tool to have at the racetrack. You know, you just do what I just did and comes right off. So hopefully this video helped you guys out, and like and subscribe down in the bottom there, and stay tuned for some more videos. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good day. Take care. All right, so here's those threaded rod pieces that I was talking about. So as you can see, you got the two nuts. This is the 5/8 18. And as you can see, we got this weird spot right here. We cut all the threads off, and the reason why we do that is because the key inside your clutch will actually sit right in here. So that's why you cut this, so that the key doesn't get stuck on the threads. And then this one has an insert, a little tip insert. Basically it looks like this, but it comes in and out. So this one we just put an insert in, that way when you're tightening it and it hits against the crank, it'll sit there and just spin. So that's a push-off tool, and then this is another push-off tool where we just ground the tip into it. And you can see all the damage kind of on the end of it where it was pushing into the crank, or at least the witness marks on it. But same thing, you cut this off so that the key will sit there, and as you twist this in, your post threads onto this, and your post will just push off. So there's another way. All right, thanks guys. Take care.